Alright folks, in game 2, this is the Bad Mofos versus the Alliance. Bad Mofos taking game 1 with a mid-melee juggernaut. Alliance just falling short. And both these teams, it is confirmed they did sweep their opponents in the previous week. So, with that said, these are two top-tier opponents, both, as previously stated, guaranteed a top 3 finish in Myth World Cup 1999. These two teams are two that have done it the best throughout the tournament. BMF being very stable up in the top bracket. They took down Civil, they took down the Saber Rummers. Now they're up against Alliance, the only other team remaining undefeated in the top bracket. I'd say Alliance might have had an easier time. Mac Gamers Guild didn't seem like such a strong team. They cleaned them up pretty handedly the previous week. But yeah, going into this next game, it looks like BMF will be repeating their heavy melee strategy. Only one dwarf, no archers, and it looks like Alliance, despite believing that their opponents will likely rush, they're gonna etch it out with lots of archers again. Only one dwarf. Synapse is telling Opus not to flank this time. Opus, the lead damage inflictor for Alliance in the previous game, and Synapse also gonna hold on to those Heron healers for himself. But we'll have to see how they hold up against this mid-jugger again. They choose to sink a white in the previous game, but it's much more difficult to white your opponent when you start in the southern part of the map rather than the north. As you can see, this flag for the north can easily be defended with a white, whereas this flag has quite some distance to any water pools, so we'll have to see if they choose to sink or heal all three. I believe this one already starting to run will be sunk. And the game kicks off here. Bullseye heading off with his gold pack once again. In fact, I believe both these teams are undefeated so far throughout the entire tournament. I don't think either of them lost a match in the qualifying rounds either, which is interesting to know when you take into account, there's 96 teams squaring off here. It's not a modern Myth tournament, which might only have 4 teams, or even 10 years ago, which might have some 24, 30 teams tops, And it looks like we have 2 pus sitting behind, 3 pus not picked up by BMF. I wonder if they will notice, or Loser 2 pointing it out pretty quickly. Alliance picking up all their pus. They're heading heavy mid, expecting this jugger, and you'll notice those thrall flanks splitting apart. Synapse noting these snow tracks, looks exactly like the same thing. You can expect these mid warriors and herons to go right through the middle while the thrall flank it out. Probably won't expect contact for another 2 minutes, maybe longer. It's 10 minutes left in the game right now. And Synapse sending his herons off once again. They weren't there to protect his teammates in the previous game. We'll have to see if that becomes a factor, as Fong Sayuk aiming for first blood here, but he might damage his own team's warrior in the process. And there you go, first blood to Alliance. No kills though, as that goal will escape the vicinity. We'll notice Bullseye's goals scouting around down in the southwest. They're practically behind that large Alliance force right now. And Synapsed Heron healers running off to the north. And lots of coordination coming from the BMF team. You'll notice it's all blue in the chat. Seems like Alliance is gonna sit tight and analyze their opponents. But I definitely feel like Synapse needs to return to the mid. He's gonna continue moving north, however. And unless Smoke's Dwarf gets lucky, I'm thinking Alliance might be in trouble here. Smoke joining the game, by the way. I believe he's replacing the Ginju guy. He's the only roster change between these two teams. And BMF going to start taking losses. Alliance much better prepared this time to deal with this oncoming rush. But those archers need to back up now, and they're going to be firing some flame arrows at these goals. Puss going down, one duds, another one just goes off against those warriors for BMF. But we got a lot of goals moving in, lots of them are loaded up with Puss. And BMF, their push is on, the archers are making a run for it. And it looks like the northern force of Thrall are going to back off here. Alliance with a 10% advantage. A nice Puss getting off by Bullseye there. His other Puss will go down without much use, unfortunately. But BMF finally able to get their Thrall into position. They're going to move their warriors back here amongst the sea of orange and let these Thrall move up. And you'll see Synapsed Heron healers, one of them getting caught. If it's locked down, it could go, and it's going to drop. Some poor micro there, and also all of his goals just pussing a bunch of random shit there altogether. Unfortunate play. Quite a bit of mistakes, but it is what it is, and it's actually going to bring the percentages even. That Puss definitely could have helped. Now this Heron healer only has one vet. It's going to go down without a heal. And Papa Scrub also going to lose a red Heron. Looks like the healing for these two teams only utilized to kill whites. But BMF going to come away with the melee fight here. Papa Scrub finally healing his Heron hero, but it's going to go down anyway. Holds out long enough to distract those archers. And we'll see Mister's Dwarf taking the hill over here. A dud Puss coming down from Mister as well. It's not going to do much damage, and the majority of 16% remaining for Alliance is down on the south flag. The only other unit is the Heron healer. Aside from that sunk white, which as you can see is just out of position to help. It might take out these 3 goals, but it's about all the chance it's going to get.
Flag contested.
And a good 8 might work here, but if you think about it, having played BMF, with BMF having played Alliance on the previous map, Alliance having sunk that white, I wouldn't be surprised if they avoid the pool a bit here. And yeah, Papa Scrub calling it out. They have a white. Why else would these archers move back, towards this area? And Red Dog gonna do what he can to try to take out some of BMF's warriors here, but the remainder of the BMF force is spreading out to secure the remaining flags. And Papa Scrub microing his warriors pretty damn well, and Bull's gold pack also moving in. Two of those goals are only one arrow away from death, but it's enough to get the job done here, as all of those archers will go down. The white will not be utilized.
Flag captured.
And Snap's gonna continue tagging flags here, but again, with 4 minutes remaining, BMF has already cleaned up and won the game. Thinking about what happened again, I mean, Alliance could have adjusted their initial strategy here. They were pretty confident that it would stop the rush if they had just kept their units together, but I think another crucial mistake for Synapse 2 games in a row is keeping those Heron healers away from the fight. Mind you, Opus wasn't off on the flank this time with his Heron healers, but both those sets of units definitely should have been in the battle if Alliance wanted to win. You know, the initial 10% lead looked pretty good for Alliance, but once those melee units caught up, it was all over and done with. And we'll see the last flag getting tagged up in the north by BMF. They're going to take this game with full points here, 7-0. Just checking the scores real quick. So far, Alliance has scored 0 points per game, and BMF has a pair of 17s from these 2 games, so they're winning in points scored 34-0. It seems like they're already out of the fight after these 2 performances. They definitely needed to hold on to a couple of flags here. You know, maybe territories isn't the best map pick when you're using a point system. And you have those territories, game types, come first in a series. But anyway, going through the stats here, BMF out damaging their opponents this game, 398 to 347. We have 82 kills, 84 losses for BMF, and the Alliance 77 kills, 85 losses. Seems like even with the help of Opus being present, they actually perform much worse than the previous game. But that aside, individually, we'll go through the player stats real quick. Papa Scrub 8 and 7, 32 damage. Hunted HDK leading his team with kills and losses, 23 and 32, 96 damage. Thorin coming up 18 and 6, 99 damage. He was leading his team in damage. Scorpio 13 and 9, 54 damage. Bullseye 12 and 10 with 79 damage. Loser 2 7 and 18, 31 damage. Mythster 1 and 2 with 5 damage. And down for the Alliance, 7 and 6, 28 for Synapse. His 4+ goals and the 3 Heron healers. Really unfortunate to see him out of position for this game. But next up, Red Dog 18 and 19. He was the only remaining player aside from Synapse Heron healer in the end game. Gonna walk away with the most kills for his team. Next up, Smoke 17 and 8, 62 damage. Feng Sayuk 12 kills, 20 losses, 78 damage. Lord Ficos 11 and 10, 51 damage. Opus 9 and 10, 46 damage, and Zap 3 and 12, 21 damage. And it's interesting to think what could have happened if Synapse Heron healers were present in those fights for either of these games. Really unfortunate for Alliance. They're already down by 34 points. Even if it was best of 5, being down 2-0, you're on the verge of losing the match. So it's not looking good for them so far. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up here. You know, moral of the story is, if you think you're pretty confident about what your opponent's gonna do, and you have the opportunity to make adjustments, you better make sure you make the right ones. And on that note, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the cast, and we'll be moving on to Game 3. Stay tuned.
Flag captured. Game over.